Hello and happy Saturday, everybody. You made it to another weekend. I hope you guys had a good week this week and you're having a wonderful weekend today and you have a great day tomorrow. My name is Mr. G. I am your meteorologist and you are watching Elite Weather Forecasting. Thank you for joining me right here on YouTube and TikTok. So if you will feel inclined to do so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on TikTok, and I'll be here every day with a weather forecast for you guys. So may not be specific to your location, but we'll cover all areas of the country. If you can request a weather forecast for your city, and I will be happy to do one of those for a video for you. So if you want a weather forecast for your specific city, just leave it in the chat and I'll make a video for your location, okay? So anyway, let's talk about the weather forecast across the country and what we're going to be seeing this weekend. And as we head into the upcoming work week, our city of the day is going to be Kansas City. Missouri is the city of the day, as we're seeing a lot of clouds out there, very gloomy and gray. So lots of clouds, some showers in the area as well. So we're going to be seeing scattered rain showers and cloudy skies for the most part across Missouri. So St. Louis is seeing much of the same just across the state from these guys here, and we're going to be seeing these kind of conditions pretty much up to where I live in the Twin Cities. So it's a pretty cloudy day across much of the Midwest. Not much sunshine to be had out there today. So unless you're on the West Coast or down in the South, you might be seeing some sunny weather and in the Northeast today. But we are going to be seeing some stormy weather as our Midwestern storm makes its way to the Northeast. We also have this storm system coming up from the south, from Florida. That's going to be bringing a lot of rain to the East Coast and the Northeast as well. And another atmospheric river setup is going to take place on the West Coast. So California and the Pacific Northwest is going to get ready to deal with some heavy rain as we move into your day on Sunday. So let's move on with the rest of the national forecast, and I'm going to show you just what you're contending with this weekend and into next week. So once again, as we alluded to earlier, there's a lot of stormy weather that's going to be taking place this weekend, especially as we get toward the end of the weekend and into the beginning of next week. We have a storm on the West Coast and on the East Coast, so we have stormy weather on both coasts this weekend that we're going to be seeing out there, as well as some inclement weather conditions into parts of the central part of the country as well. So a lot to talk about today. So let's get to our first map. And our first map is going to be covering the storm on the East Coast. That's going to be coming up from the south out of Florida and up the Eastern Seaboard. And that's going to be spreading heavy rain up the East Coast in the big cities. And we're going to be seeing snow over the interior portions near the Ohio Valley and along the St. Lawrence River Valley. We're going to be seeing heavy snow over western New York and Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and western Massachusetts as well. So if you're in the higher elevations in the interior portions of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic as well, down through parts of the Appalachian mountain range, we're going to be seeing some snow in your area. But if you're on the east side of the mountains, along the Atlantic coastline, we're going to be dealing with some rain and heavy winds as well. So a lot of rain and heavy winds. As you can see, that area of low pressure zooming its way up the East Coast there. So that's going to make nor'easter type conditions over the Northeast, but tropical storm type conditions down across the state of Florida and the Southeast. So a lot to contend with there. So on our next map, we're going to be dealing with that low pressure that is going to be forecast to move up the eastern U.S. coastline, and that's going to spread a widespread rain, gusty winds, and interior snow. And we're also going to be seeing major airports and some of the roadways could be face delays and cancellations as far as your air travel is concerned as a result of that stormy weather on the East Coast. So we're going to see this area of low pressure that's moving up the east with a lot of wind out there. That's going to be winds up to 60 miles an hour, especially right off the coast there, Cape Cod, Nantucket, those areas. And if you're in Massachusetts, Portland, Maine, if you're in the areas along the shoreline there, you're going to be dealing with a lot of winds coming from the east, and those winds can be up to 60 mile an hour. So tropical storm force winds are pretty much nor'easter conditions in New England we're going to be seeing with this powerful storm system that's going to be affecting the East Coast Sunday through Tuesday. We're going to be dealing with that storm system there. So again, there's that powerful storm system. You can see those isobars. Look how tight those isobars. That's a very strong pressure gradient there. Very sharp drop in those pressure gradients. That's going to be responsible for those very high winds that we're going to be seeing along the coastal sections on the east side of this low, as we have that circulation and kind of like this around that low. We're going to be seeing that counterclockwise, that counterclockwise circulation around this area of low pressure. That's going to be creating those winds. So we're going to be seeing strong winds from the south and the southeast to the west of the low, but to the east of the low, we're going to be seeing a strong northwest wind coming down from the north toward the south. So you're going to notice those winds change direction dependent on the position of that area of low pressure. You're going to see those winds go from south to southeast at a time to north and northwest. So a very sharp change in those winds as that low passes from the south toward the north. We're going to be seeing those gusty winds from the state of Florida, those gusts up to 50 miles an hour. So that's going to cause a lot of issues out over the water. There's going to be issues with high surf where we can see waves as high as 13 feet. So very rough seas out there. So if you're cruising on a cruise ship or a yacht, or if you have your pleasure boat or anything like that, the seas are going to be very rough. It's going to be very dangerous. If you're on the beach, there's going to be rip currents, and we're also going to be seeing some beach erosion as a result of those waves and those high winds battering the coastline. I'm having camera issues today. Okay, so we're going to see those gusts up to 60 miles an hour. There is a high wind watch in place for Sunday and Monday up in the Northeast and New England. So Massachusetts, Boston, all the way down to New York City, we're going to be seeing a high wind advisory along the East Coast. And here we are, as we're going to see those seas up to 24 to 36 foot swells out over the water. 24 to 36 feet high. That's going to be very high. Is that feet? Yeah, that's feet. We are talking about 36 feet. Yeah, 36 feet. I just want to make sure I'm not tripping. Like, what's going on here? 36 foot high swells. So very high out there across the, because feet is the one marker, double marker is inches. So, yeah, 36 foot swells here out over the water there, just off of the Nantucket Island there. We're going to be seeing in Cape Cod, we're going to be dealing with some very, 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 very rough seas. This is unbelievable, actually, to be honest with you. I couldn't believe this forecast myself when I was looking at these maps and stuff. And I was like, is that right? 36 feet? Really? Okay, 36 feet. We're going to roll with that. So, anyway, here's those wind speeds up in New England. 50 to 60 mile an hour winds along the East Coast there. But a little bit slower in the interior. 20 to 30 miles an hour over the southwest. But 30 to 40 along the St. Lawrence River there. So we're going to be seeing those high winds pretty much area-wide across the Northeast and into New England. We're going to be seeing the same thing in the Southeast along the coastal sections, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. So we're going to be seeing those winds blowing from the northwest to the southeast over the south. But in the north, we're going to be seeing winds coming from the southeast toward the northwest. So opposite in the south, because the low will be to the north. But if you're in the north, the low will be coming from the south. So those winds are going to be coming at you from the east and the southeast. So again, depending on where you sit in relation to the position of that low pressure center, is where those winds will determine which direction the winds will blow over your head. So, again, here are some of the rainfall totals in New England that we expect. Predominantly 2 to 3 inches of rain along the coastline there. But if we're going to be seeing this, don't worry too much about where this is just an issue with the coloring here. But this is going to be converted over to snow, and we're going to be seeing the equivalent amount of snow that's just opposed to 2 to 3 inches of rain. So that's going to be some areas picking up as much as 36 inches of snow. And you can see that conversion right there. This is converted for heavy snow. So we're going to be seeing that heavy snow over the interior portions where we can see as much as 3 feet in some locations. But here over the coastline, 2 to 3 inches of rain. I just ate lunch, so I'm a little sleepy. So, so I just want to make sure I'm saying the right things, and my mouth and my brain are on the same wavelength here. So again, along the coast, even down to the south, in the southeast, including the state of Florida, we're going to see 2 to 3 inches of rain for the most part. Some areas picking up 3 to 5 inches of rain. Some isolated areas 3 to 5, but predominantly 2 to 3 along the coast. A bit inland, we're going to see those precipitation amounts drop off. Predominantly 1 to 2 inches of rain fall in the interior portions on the west side of the Appalachian mountain range, and over the more towards the inland side of things on the other side of the mountains will be lighter rainfall totals, but the heavier rainfall will fall east of the mountain range in the east coast there. So I just want to make sure I say all of that properly. Okay, the state of Florida, we're going to be dealing with a lot of heavy rain again. We're going to be seeing that rain through Sunday. That storm, as it makes its way, that low makes its way across the state on Saturday today and head up the East Coast. And by the time we get to Tuesday, that low will be heading into the North Atlantic out towards Europe. So that's going to be a storm that Britain will have to deal with later next week, as that storm makes its way into the North Atlantic. It's going to pass south of Iceland, Greenland, and head toward the British Isles, and probably eventually towards Norway, Denmark, and Finland. So this storm will have a wide-reaching impact across the globe, if I'm being 100% honest. Again, heavy rain across Florida, 2 to 3 inches for the most part, with some areas picking up 3 to 5. A lot of rain, a lot of flooding. There's going to be lots of issues with air travel delays. If you're driving, travel delays because of the heavy rain. There's going to be ponding on the roadways, flooding, flash flooding. So that's going to make issues for trains, and that's going to make issues at airports as well. So travel delays is pretty much guaranteed at this point with this storm system. Okay, the mid-Atlantic, so the Virginia coastline, we're going to talk about Lake Hatteras, D.C., New York, and all the way back down towards Charleston, South Carolina, where we're going to have a flood threat there. So flash flooding is likely in this region in the mid-Atlantic states there. So we're going to see the potential for flash flooding there. We have a flood watch in effect across New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. So Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, New York City, Long Island. For you folks, a flood watch is in effect right now over those areas because of forecasted heavy rain. Florida, same thing. Flood watch is going to be in place. Flooding is possible, likely, across the state of Florida, especially over the Everglades. Central Florida, going to see a lot of rainfall amounts as much as 5 or more inches. Tropical storm type numbers we're going to be seeing from Florida to the northeast, honestly. 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, 5+ inches of rain. So There's going to be power outages. There's going to be property damage. There's going to be travel delays. I mean, this is a bad storm, ladies and gentlemen. This is a bad storm. I can't reiterate that this is a pretty serious situation here. There's going to be severe weather. We're going to talk about that right now. The threat for tornadoes is going to be possible in the mid-Atlantic. So North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. We have the possibility of seeing tornadoes. We're going to see those strong winds, that easterly winds. There's a very strong wind shear because of that rotation around that low pressure. So we're going to be seeing those winds veering from the southwest toward the northeast. So we're going to see a lot of wind shear taking place. So that's going to increase the threat for tornadoes possible with this storm system. So tornadoes are going to be possible. So again, pay close attention to your local weather forecast, the National Weather Service, television, radio, and yours truly, and any of the other reliable meteorologists. There's not many. I take issue with a lot of folks in social media trying to be meteorologists. They're not trained. They're not being trained. They're not in school. Granted, if you're in school and you're pursuing your degree, you're receiving the training. But if you don't have the training and you just read some stuff, you don't understand what you're reading. You don't understand the math behind it, how much calculus you have to do. There's a lot of math involved in determining a weather forecast. You have to be good at collecting data, deciphering data, understanding the data. You have to be good with mathematical equations and calculations. You have to be good with physics and chemistry and all the things like that. You have to understand how the atmosphere works, how it moves, and kinetic energy, different things, how to move and displace energy. You have to understand all of this stuff. There's a lot to being a meteorologist. You just can't jump on the internet and say, oh yeah, you don't, shut the, Anyway, so I'm going to keep moving. All right, so a severe weather threat again from South Florida. So today we have that risk. We're seeing tornadoes across the Florida peninsula from Jacksonville down to Miami and Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa, Orlando. You're going to see the potential for some tornadoes as well this afternoon and into the evening hours. You can also see some nighttime tornadoes. So nocturnal tornadoes is going to be possible as well with the storm system. So it's even more important to pay attention to the weather forecast today and tomorrow. Let us not forget that Florida is the lightning capital of the United States, and more people are struck and killed by lightning in Florida than any other state in the country. So again, Florida loves to produce lightning. So again, those severe thunderstorms will produce plenty of lightning as well across the state of Florida. And again, here is our wind advisories. Well, in Florida, we can see gusts up to 45 miles an hour. So the entire east coast of Florida, from Homestead all the way up to Daytona Beach, we have a wind advisory in place across the state of Florida. We have our flood alert over North Florida. We have a coastal flood advisory. So we're going to see those tropical storm-like conditions with an onshore flow. So that's going to be for water from the ocean coming onto the land, overrunning the beach, onto like A1A, and onto the roadways that's along the beach. Going to be much like a storm surge, sort of like a storm surge in a hurricane. So tropical storm conditions along the east coast of Florida. Not a tropical storm, but tropical storm conditions. Similar to a tropical storm. So many people, I saw one person on TikTok who is also a meteorology student who did, well, to be fair, she did kind of basically what I did was, we're going to see tropical storm conditions. You say tropical storm or hurricane, people run off with. So my shout out to her for pursuing that degree, because that's important. to get that degree, that certification that you are trained and you know what you're doing. So at least I can respect her greatly for getting her degree, and I'm enjoying following her as she pursues that degree and how things go, because she keeps us updated with what she's got going on as far as classes and stuff. And I asked her, did you ever do atmospheric dynamics yet? To me, that's the hardest course. Man, you pass atmospheric dynamics, you're going to be all right if you can pass that class. Good grief, man. Wow, that's a hard class. So anyway, so we have another storm on the west coast. I'm going to step over here so that we can see our west coast storm that's going to be off the coast of Southern California on Thursday. Now, this is just one of two storms that's going to be El Nino influence and the Pineapple Express atmospheric river. So we're going to have this strong area of low pressure off the coast of Southern California. We call it a cutoff flow because it's going to be cut off from the main flow of the jet stream. Cutoff flow, we call it a weatherman's woe because they kind of bouncing around and just go wherever they feel like going. So these are kind of always a little bit more difficult to pinpoint the direction that it's going to go. But we will see heavy rain along the west coast from Northern California, the Bay Area, all the way down here to LA and San Diego. San Diego always gets a little bit less rainfall than other parts of Southern California, but we're going to be seeing that 3 to 5 inch range of rain over the LA basin. So cities like Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Compton, Long Beach, the main part of the city, Orange County, so Tustin, Anaheim, Irvine, Fullerton, Santa Ana, those places will see 3 to 5 inches of rain. And if you're north of San Diego, the northern suburbs, Oceanside, we're going to be seeing 3 to 5 inches of rain. But if you look at the darker reds, this is areas that's going to be seeing 5 to 8 inches of rain. This is the foothills of the mountains. The San Gabriel Mountains, the San Bernardino Mountains, the Santa Monica Mountains, the Tehachapi Mountains. That a higher elevation, we're going to see 5 to 8 inches of rain along those mountain ranges because of the orographic lift. The higher altitude, this storm is going to be pushed up the mountain range. So as that storm is getting pushed up the mountain range, going to squeeze more moisture out of those clouds and out of the atmosphere. So on the upward side of the storm along the mountains, going to see heavier rainfall. And we're going to see the same thing up in the Bay Area as well and along the western slopes of the Sierra Nevada mountain range up in central and northern California. We're going to be seeing those heavier rainfall amounts, those 5 to 8 inch rainfall amounts, but we're going to be seeing that snow up in the higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada and the Cascade mountain range. So the snow levels are going to be 7,000 feet to start off with this storm. So above 7,000 feet, we're going to be seeing that heavier snowfall where we can see that 18 to 24 inches of snow in those regions. So again, heavy snow across the Sierra Nevada. Some areas is going to be picking up that 36 to 48 inches of snow in the darker blue. So that heavy snow across the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Yay, beautiful, beautiful mountain range, especially in Yosemite. God damn, it's so pretty. California, man, I tell you, I love the western half of the mountains out west. Zion National Park, Glenwood Canyon, Bryce Canyon, Grand Canyon. I love the West, man. I love the West. This winter, yeah. One day, I'm gonna buy myself a Prevost coach and just take it around, me and my wife, and drive all over the West. Go to to the parks, to Yellowstone and Glacier, everywhere. Just go everywhere and tour the mountains and the national parks. Damn, I just love the geological features of those canyons and those mountains out west. It's absolutely fabulous, man. Absolutely. You know there's a God when you see those places. God is good when you go out there. You just like, there is a Lord somewhere. There's a God of some type that did all this. So, anyway, this low pressure center is going to be over the northern California, Oregon area. So that's going to be on Monday. We're going to see our next storm system, and that's going to bring rain again up and down the coastline from Oregon through northern California, especially. And then as we get to Tuesday, that system moves to the north into British Columbia, but it has the trailing cold front that will extend down across California. So that's going to be bringing rain, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, all the way down to Central California and to Southern California as well. So heavy rain again from Sunday through Wednesday, especially in California. So here is what we're going to be seeing tomorrow as our storm system mostly is off the coast. But we'll start to see some rain showers in northern and central California. So that is your weather forecast. My name is Mr. G, your meteorologist. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about weather forecasting. This has been my childhood dream since I was a 6-year-old boy. And I tell you what, it was the experiencing and my first, what I knew now to be El Nino back in 1982 and 1983. Anybody who's a weather buff and you live in California, you remember the winter of 82 and 83 with the mudslides. It was the first time I ever seen a tornado in LA. I remember when we had a severe thunder. It's very rare to see lightning in LA. Very, very, very rare to see lightning of this type. It was kind of like seeing storms that I've seen in the Midwest, living here in Minnesota. And I used to live in Texas and in Oklahoma, and I lived in Florida and Arizona. So I have seen some thunderstorms. Trust me, I have seen some storms. And this storm rivaled any of those storms. It was pretty impactful, and I just remember it to this day. I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. No, 6, maybe 6, 7, 5 or 6 years old. No, 6, 7 years old. Yeah, because 85 I was 10. So yeah, I was under 10. I was between 5 and 10. So anyway, yeah, 83 I would have been about 8, maybe. Yeah, 8 years old. So I was wanting to be a weather forecaster ever since then. And there's two guys who were on the local TV. There was one old man, his name was Dr. George Fishbeck, and he looked like a professor. He wore his bow ties. He was this old guy, the black glasses with the clear thing on the top, looked like a NASA scientist from the 60s. I swear to God, he had that look all the way down to the wool suits and everything. That guy was my hero and my idol, Dr. George Fishbeck. And then there was another guy at the time who was really nerdy. He was like nerdy on top of nerdy. His name was Fritz Coleman. And those two dudes are a legend. I'm telling you. If you're going to do media broadcasting or be on the air, you want to be in LA. Trust me, you want to be in LA. If you're on the radio, you want to be in LA. Forget New York. New York is trash. DC is trash. LA is where you want to be. That's where you want to be, is Los Angeles. That's the best. The best radio stations, the best TV stations are in LA. So anyway, that's enough of my rambling for today. I am Mr. G, your meteorologist. Thank you for watching me today. Leave your likes, comments, and feel free to comment on my commentary that I've left with you today. All right? Bye-bye, guys. We won't have a video tomorrow, unfortunately, because we got to pack. We have a trip coming up. We're going to be gone for 2 weeks. So we won't have a video for tomorrow and about 2 weeks. So next year, I will see you guys with weather forecast videos at the beginning of January. Okay? Bye-bye. Love you. See you later.